In this video, we're going to break down the easiest ways to save $10,000 fast. So it doesn't actually matter what amount you're trying to save or what time frame you're trying to save over. These can apply to any number and any time frame. So first, we need to figure out what $10,000 breaks down to per day. It's a lot easier to meet your goals when you break them down into smaller steps and you have more of those smaller victories versus just trying to find an extra $10,000 lying around that you can put all towards your goal at once. So if you are trying to save $10,000 over the course of a year, that would break down to about $27.40 per day. If you wanted to save that in only 6 months, it would break down to $54.80. And if you had up to 2 years that you were trying to save $10,000 over, that would break down to $13.70. These amounts may seem like a lot to you, they may seem like nothing at all, but what your objective needs to be is to find ways that you can meet whatever your daily goal is. To reach that daily goal, you're going to have to either save the money that you're already making, you'll have to make more money, or for most people, it will be doing a combination of both. Let's start with saving first, and I both mean first on the list and actually saving your money first before you go and buy anything. How much you save is going to depend on how important that savings goal is to you and where you are willing to prioritize that over other things. If you're someone that finds yourself overspending on frivolous or discretionary things, then something that you may consider doing is creating a sense of scarcity by paying yourself first. And some of you I know are like, my friend, I do not need to create a sense of scarcity. The scarcity is here. Well, I have tips for you too, so hang in here with me. So one of the easiest things that you can start out with is to start automating your savings. So every week or month, set up your bank accounts so that money is withdrawn from your checking account and is automatically deposited into your savings account. If you don't ever see that money until it's in your savings account, then you'll be a lot less likely to spend it. If you are in that overspender or impulse shopper category, or you just don't know how those Amazon packages magically end up on your doorstep every day, then here are a few tips for you. Before you actually go and buy something on Amazon or go shopping at the mall, wait on making that purchase. Some people say to wait 24 hours, 72 hours. I'm gonna say wait a week from when you find yourself wanting an item to when you allow yourself to purchase it. This would obviously be for discretionary things, so like clothes or shoes or things that you don't really need. In this period of waiting, you can ask yourself a couple of questions. First, how many hours of your time would it take to actually buy that item? If you're making $10 an hour and you want to buy a pair of shoes that is $100 that you really don't need, would you still be willing to buy those shoes if you had to pay for them directly with 10 hours of your time? When you start comparing the price of items to the amount of your time that it would take, a lot of times it makes it a lot easier to pass up those discretionary items that you don't necessarily need. You can also start asking yourself, would you rather have the item or would you rather have the cash? If someone came up to you and handed you those shoes or handed you a $100 bill, which one would you rather take? If you're someone that finds yourself overspending just because you're using credit cards and it doesn't feel like your money, try using cash instead and actually stop using those cards for a while. I know that that doesn't work in every case, especially if you are a big Amazon shopper, but a tip for that would be to disconnect your credit cards from Amazon. They make it super easy to just have all of your cards saved so that you can click that buy button and do the instant checkout thing, which you do not want to do if you are an impulse shopper. If you disconnect those credit cards, having to go in and enter it every single time you make a purchase and actually take a second to think about the purchase that you're making, you may find that that is a helpful step to eliminate some of your discretionary spending. And these are a few other tips that everyone can use to reduce your expenses. So first, on some of your biggest expenses like your insurance, your utilities, your phone, and your internet bills, actually call those companies and see if you can negotiate with them. Usually, if you've been with any of these types of companies for a while, or if there are competing companies that have a little bit better or similar offers to the companies that you're already using, you can call them up and try to get better rates on your insurance, your phone bill, and you can also look at bundling things together and see if you get multiple services through them, if they'll lower your rates. So for example, maybe you could bundle your internet and your TV services and get a lower rate than if you pay for those separately, or maybe you could bundle your home insurance and your auto insurance. Another tip is to actually list out every single subscription service that you are a part of and start eliminating the ones that you don't need. Many of us don't think that we spend very much on these subscription services because it's $5 here, $10 there, and that's not really a lot of money. But when you start adding those up, especially during this last year when lots of TV services came out and more people were having things delivered to their home, those small costs can really add up. So actually go through, write out all of those subscriptions and see if you still need to keep all of them. Another tip that can save you a lot of money and will only take you like 10 to 30 minutes is to go through your email and unsubscribe from every single email list that you are a part of. Email lists and these flash sales that companies have are a huge source of revenue, and it's very tempting when you get an email in your inbox 3 times a day that says 50% off, 3 hours only, to go and spend money that you otherwise wouldn't have spent if you didn't know that that flash sale was going on. So after you've gone through all of those different ways to eliminate some of those extra small expenses, hopefully that comes out to at least a couple dollars a day, and that will help you to reach whatever your daily goal is. So now if you've cut out everything that you can or that you want to cut out, the next thing that you'll need to do to meet that daily goal is to make more money. The first thing that you could try is to sell extra things around your apartment or your house that you just aren't using. Maybe you have a bike that's been sitting in a closet or in your garage for a couple of years that you never ride, and things like that can actually make you a decent amount of money when you resell it. If you have a closet full of old clothes that are in good condition but that you just don't like anymore, you can always try different clothing resale apps like Depop or Poshmark, and hopefully by doing that you can make some extra money from things that you already had. The next option is to start a side hustle to make more money, and I find this a lot easier if you actually break down that daily goal into what you could be making hourly and try to find side hustles based off of that. So if we were trying to save $10,000 in 1 year and we couldn't cut anything out or find any extra places to save money and we needed to make that full $27 a day, what you could break that down to is $9 an hour for 3 hours a day, or roughly $15 an hour for 2 hours a day. If you could find a side hustle that pays $27 an hour, you would only need to work 1 extra hour a day. So you can kind of base that off of how much you want to save and how much extra you're willing to work. So hopefully with finding those areas that you can save in, plus starting a side hustle, even if it doesn't pay a ton, those two things will add up to help you reach that daily goal. There are 3 other things that I think are helpful to do as well when you are trying to save a large amount of money. And the first would be keeping track of your budget and how much you're spending. You can use a free app like Mint. You can do this on a spreadsheet that you make yourself, or you can even just write it down on a piece of paper. But what matters is that you know where your money is going, and by doing that, you may be able to find extra places where you can cut back a little, or other places where you may not realize that you're overspending. You can also try doing a spending fast or a no spend challenge, and these are usually where you have the goal of not spending any extra money for a set number of days or like for an entire month. These can be great if you need to break a bad shopping habit, but it can also be a little bit difficult. It's easy to get burned out trying to do one of these no spend challenges, and it may be a little bit discouraging if it's too hard for you to keep up with. So I really think that just tracking that spending saving is more important, but you can try both ways and see what works for you. I think it's also super important to actually open up a different savings account that is dedicated to your goal, whatever that is, if that money is for a car or for a down payment or for your emergency savings. Actually open up a separate savings account and name that account after your goal. It's a lot harder to cheat and pull money out of that account for discretionary spending if it's labeled something like down payment money. So that is just a quick tip there. If you're having trouble thinking of side hustles that you could start to reach that daily goal, go ahead and click on this video where I go through 6 different side hustles that can pay up to $20 an hour or more. And I'll see you guys over there.